Okay, so this video is on banded dips for street lifting. So I'm going to go through ways to set this up. Now, unfortunately, with street lifting, there isn't really a standardized dipping station that is used. So because of this, you're going to find that there's, loads of different ways that you can set up your banded dips. Now, they're all going to be a correct way in their own right. It really just comes down to what you've got access to. So what kit you've got access to attach bands, and what dipping station you're using, how you're able to attach it to that dipping station. So I'll go through some different ways that you can do this. And we'll also go through sort of, I guess, the pros of using banded dips for your training, and also things to look out for, things not to do, regardless of what banded setup that you're using. So first of all, banded dips, or any movement for that matter, is when you're pushing or pulling against the resistance of the band. So it's the complete opposite to when the band is assisting you in the movement. So for example, in a pull-up, when you put your feet in the band and it helps you during the movement, that is reverse banded. So just make sure you know the difference between banded and reverse banded. So banded is when you're pushing or pulling against the resistance. Reverse banded is when it's assisting you in the movement. So one of the easiest ways to set up banded dips is to have the band attached to something directly underneath you or just in front of you. So for myself, with this dip station, I've got these here, which is actually perfect for me to set up my band. So if I come around here, basically what I can do is take my band and we can just attach it like so. So I would just refer to this as choking it once. And that is it attached obviously to the dip station. Then what I'll do, I'll take a carabiner and I'll pop that on there. If I attach my dip belt, then what I can do is from here now, I can attach this to the carabiner that is on my dip belt. And then from here, I can perform my dips. Perfect. Now, the only problem with this is, depending on how close or far away that is from you, when I get to the bottom of the dip, this may go slack. So I know that this is going to go slack when I get to the bottom of the dip. So if I go down, so here, the band's gone completely slack. And that is what we want to stay away from as much as we can. So what I would do in this case, if I would set up more of a double choke. So the band, like so, attach the carabiner to both ends of the band, and then I attach that to my belt. Obviously there's going to be a lot more tension, so you need to bear that in mind regarding what band you're going to use. However, if I perform my dip, there's zero tension loss in that. Well, the band doesn't go slack at the bottom, which is what we want. We want there to always be some form of tension. Obviously there's going to be more tension at the top of the dip, but we don't want it to completely let off and go slack at the bottom. So for me, with this setup, that is how I would set it up, because that is the most optimal way of setting up a band for me with this dip station. Now, if you haven't got anything that you can attach the band to on your dip station in that nice location in front of you, then you could invest in something like this. So it's just like an anchor, a weight anchor. And then all you would do is you would slip that through. This now would go under here, and all that would happen is I would attach my band to the carabiner on top of that weight anchor. That will work the exact same way, but it just involves investing in a little bit more kit. Now, if you don't want to invest in something like that, you could use something that you may already have access to, which could be like dumbbells, kettlebells, or it could even actually just be plates. And you could stack them there and attach them. This is stuff you'll see online anyway, people doing, but this works just as good. But the main thing to remember is that there's no slack of the band at the bottom of the dip. As long as you can set it up like that, then you're laughing and you're fine. Now, another way that you could set it up is with a partner, and you could have someone stand on the band. So instead of using like this to attach it to, or the anchor to attach it to, or a dumbbell, you could have someone stand on the band. This also works as long as the main thing, like I said, there's no slack in the bottom. The only issue with this is you just need to be consistent with where that person stands in relation to you. So, for example, if I was to stand on the band here, there's X amount of tension on that band during my rep. If we were to pull the band over to here now and stand on it here, say the following week, that's going to completely change everything, because now there's going to be a lot more band tension and it's also pulling in a slightly different angle. So these are things to consider if you're going to do that setup. It needs to be consistent with where the person stands each week or each time that you use a banded dip variation. Now, another way that you could set up the band, and this is quite a popular way, is to put the band around your neck. You put it around your neck like so, and then all you would do is grab on to the bars. Nice and simple. I like this because it's very simple to set up. You don't need any extra kit. All you need is the band and the dip bars that you're going to be using. For that reason, it's great, simple, quick to use. The few things that I don't like about it, first of all, you are guaranteed to get slack in the band tension at the bottom. Like, the band tension pretty much comes off. So for that reason, I don't like this version. You can get around this by wrapping the band, but again, you need to be consistent with how you wrap it and stuff. The other reason is I don't like the force of the band pulling from the neck. I find that this throws off the pressing line. So I prefer to have the band attached to the same position in which I have my weight attached. So for that reason, I don't like this version. But if for any reason you can't set up your band like this, doing it around the neck is better than nothing at all, 100%. So if you're not able to set it up in any way like I went through earlier, then yeah, by all means, you do what you can do. So go for it around the neck, that is fine. So when to use banded dips. So I will program banded dips for all speed work. So my speed dynamic work, it will be programmed for all of that. I always use accommodating resistance, whether that's in the form of bands or whether that's in the form of chains. But there's going to be some form of accommodating resistance. So in this case, obviously this is banded dips. So using banded dips for your speed work is really going to help improve acceleration. You're going to be forced to have to drive and accelerate through that tension of the band. As you come up through the bottom, it's going to kick in more the tension of the band. So you're going to have to drive more and more. So this is really going to help with that acceleration. Now you're also going to benefit from overspeed eccentrics from the banded dips. Now, one of the things that we want to improve when it comes to dips is the amortization phase. That's that moment, that transition phase from going from the eccentric and then that transition into the concentric. The quicker we can make this transition, the better. So overspeed eccentrics will help with this. You're going to get pulled down quite violently with the bands, and then you're going to have to blast straight back out of it. So this will help improve that, which is going to help with your strength long term for the dip. Now I would also put this in my neural sessions. So neural sessions meaning my heavy dip sessions. But it will just depend on what I need or the client needs at that moment. So if I feel that there's some weakness in the lockout of the dip, then putting banded dips in the neural session would benefit this. So we're at the top of the dip. That is where most of the tension of the band is going to be on. As you lower down, it's going to start to deload in tension. And then as soon as you start to shoot back up, the further and further you get closer to that top position, more tension is obviously going to kick in. So this is going to make you have to work harder at that top part, the lockout part of the dip. So it could be great for that also. With using banded dips for your speed work, this is obviously improving strength qualities like speed strength, for example. Now, we could also use the banded dips in our neural sessions to improve strength speed. So this is the quality, the strength quality where you improve your ability to be able to grind in a rep. So that's also something we want to improve. We obviously want to improve being quicker, but we also want to improve our ability to grind repetitions, because it's inevitable that you're probably going to have to grind during your new 1RM attempt. So if we can improve this ability, this is one way we could do it. So hopefully that gives a bit more insight in how to set up your banded dips. The kind of two main areas on where you would use it in your programming. I think the main takeaway with this is there's a lot of different setups you can do for banded dips. And everyone will say, oh, this is how you need to set it up. This is how. Now, really when it comes down to it, it's a personal preference thing based on what you have access to, what kind of dipping station you have. The main thing is that throughout the whole repetition of your dip, there's no slack of band tension. So as long as there's no slack in that band when you're performing your dips, your setup is fine. I think that's the main thing. And the other thing is making sure that the band kind of pulls, is angled kind of in your dipping, your perfect dipping line. You don't want the band being angled that way and you're dipping straight down. That's going to obviously throw off your pressing line a bit. So as long as you can get it as close to your perfect dipping line as you can, and that there's no slack in the band, especially at the bottom. You're fine with whatever setup you choose to go for based on what you have access to.